fitness, we all definitely should be taking care of ourselves. You know, these bodies that we have, these amazing pieces of art that the Lord has created, these temples in which the Holy Spirit of God dwells in, it is definitely our responsibility to care for them. Minding what we eat, minding what we drink, minding the things in which we do to it. But we got to be very, very careful, folks, to not idolize our bodies. In this video, I want to share what I've been through. I want to share what I've done. And I want to share what I've overcome. I began working out when I was about 13 or 14 years old. And when I was younger than that, I had really bad asthma. And I ended up taking this medication called prednisone. If you don't know what that is, it's an asthma medication that has some pretty bad side effects. One of those side effects is weight gain. So elementary school, had to take prednisone just to breathe. I grew up with grandparents who could not say no to their grandchild. And they would buy me whatever it is I wanted. Food, soda, you name it, they bought it. So consuming all of this food and drinking all of this soda as a kid and taking prednisone on top of it, I blew up like Kirby, okay? Now, if you play Nintendo, then you know what I'm talking about. I was eating like Kirby and blew up like Kirby at the same time. Yeah, so throughout my elementary years, there was a particular little boy, we'll say, who took it upon himself to bully me, made fun of my features. He would say, "You are a big fat turkey." You know, I remember that, big fat turkey. And then he used to say something really weird, like he used to call me a crystal head freak. And now I'm thinking about what is a crystal head? Yeah, whatever. Like kids will be kids, not very intelligent. But so the bullying, the tormenting went on for at least about 2 years. It felt like it was forever, to be honest with you all. But that was like the fourth and the fifth grade, and then middle school came around. Around this time, puberty's kicking in, and that weight in which I gained in elementary school started to subside. So at this time, I'm growing, I'm getting taller, and I'm thinning out. I'm a being pole for the most part. So fat's not even in my category anymore at this point. I'm about 13, 14 years old, and because of what I endured in elementary school, I was like always like self-conscious about how I looked. Not just my clothes, but my weight and all of this different type of stuff. I remember telling my grandma, could you not fry chicken, please? Or if you are going to fry some chicken, can you please like bake my chicken? Or could you like make broccoli? Now, she didn't do these things. She was the type of person to put oil on everything, fry everything, put butter on everything, and that was just the way that it was. You know, I'm from the South, so you know how we do it down here. Yeah, so eating that stuff as a kid and then wanting to like shift away from it in my teenage years because I was self-conscious about the way I looked was, not really something your typical 13, 14-year-old does, but because of the trauma that I endured in elementary school, it left a mark on me. I ended up meeting another kid on the playground. This kid was, I thought he was trying to be an enemy or a bully or something like that because he would always toss, what do you call it, a dodgeball at me. He would always throw dodgeballs at me. I'm like, why do you keep hitting me? What's wrong with you, man? What is your issue, bro? And then one day I brought a magazine to school, a video game magazine to school, and he just so happened to see it, and I had some cards with those magazines, like these WWF wrestler cards, and he saw it. He's like, "Hey, are those like Stridex cards?" And I said, "Yeah." And then before you know it, that little mutual interest ended up turning into a friendship. We learned that we like video games and wrestling, and that was enough for us to become best friends. So, as time went on, we would watch wrestling together. I'll be on the phone, he'll be on the phone. We're watching WWE Raw or WWE SmackDown, actually, probably SmackDown, because around this time, I didn't have cable, so I couldn't watch, Raw, which he used to make fun of me about, but we're going to leave that alone. We looked at the physiques of the wrestlers and we wanted to look like them. So we were like, what do we have to do to look like Triple H? What do we got to do to look like The Rock? What do we got to do to look like Kane? These guys are huge monsters. So we started doing push-ups, we started doing sit-ups, we started doing all of this different type of stuff just to try to make our, build up our physiques. So we saw this commercial from Triple H. If y'all know WWE, then you know who that is, of a supplement that he was advertising or endorsing or whatever you want to say, called MetaCuts. So basically, he's like, take MetaCuts and you'll look like me, like, ugh. Like that was pretty much what he was doing. So us being kids, I said, let's go get some MetaCuts. So we go to GNC in the mall, and then we go talking to the guy. He's like, yo, we looking for some MetaCuts, man. Like, we want to get big. And then he's looked at us. He's like, so I guess you want your testicles to shrink, huh? And I'm like, we looking at each other like, no, no. So we just turn around, dip out. And if I knew then what I know now, that was completely like rubbish, a lie, but whatever. So we leave and we just, go back to just working out, doing things like that. And that was a very, very short-lived thing between me and him. And then I ended up meeting another friend in high school who had a weight set, like dumbbells, barbells, and stuff like that, at his house. So we would go over there, we would work out. So working out has always been something that I was involved with very young in life. Like I said, I struggled with insecurities as, a child, and it trickled over into my teenage years. It made me very, very self-conscious about the way that I look. Much like a lot of young girls are self-conscious about the way that they look, they won't eat and they'll make themselves like throw up and stuff like that. Like mine was like, I want to look a certain type of way for whatever reason. I didn't even know why I wanted to look a certain type of way. But me and my friend that I met in high school, we would, lift weights in the room, do push-ups, do sit-ups, and all of that good stuff. We that connection wasn't too deep, to be honest with you, because at some point he did end up moving away to go live with his dad, I believe, or something like that, in another state. So he moved away, and so my good friend's gone. I'm like, okay, well, here I'm still here, and at the time I was maybe about 18, 19 years old. So my body began to change a little bit, honestly. Like my chest was growing, my arms were still stringy. I didn't know how to work out or anything like that. But anyway, that was what I was working with at the time. My girlfriend wasn't complaining, who's my wife now, of course. But when we look back at some of those pictures, she's like, oh my gosh, like you were so unproportionalized. So, oh yeah. 22 years old comes around, and my wife, well, sorry, we weren't married at the time, but my girlfriend is pregnant with my son. So we go to this gym. It was called Powerhouse. It's not called Powerhouse now, it's called something else. So we go to Powerhouse and we sign up for the gym. So I'm looking around, I'm looking at all these huge guys, and I ended up seeing a couple of guys that I was like, wow, I want to look like that. I want to look like that. I want to look like that. I want arms like that. I want a back like that. I want a chest like that. All of the different types of stuff. Just extremely vain at the time. So I signed up. I remember what the guy looked like and everything that signed me up. This was like 2006. It's I'm nearly 20 years ago. 2025 now. So I start working out. I go to the gym. Usually it was pretty late, maybe about 10 p.m. Had no clue what I was doing at all. Just did not know what to do. So I would just do whatever I thought was right. Just a lot of chest stuff, a lot of arm stuff. Didn't know anything about splits, anything about just particular body parts that I need to focus on. Knew nothing. There was this Filipino guy who was there, and he was covered up, I believe, at the time. So he looked really small. And he looked at me. He was like, bro, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm working out. He's like, nah, man, you need to do this, 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 and this. So I ditched what I was doing and I started working out with him. So we would meet up every night around that time and we would work out. And then one day he came out of the long sleeves shirt and he was just shredded to the bone. Okay. He was ripped. I'm like, I didn't even know it was possible to look like this under all of that, but it was very, very impressive. So we created a bond. We created a friendship. I felt like it was healthy. It was good male bonding. It was fun. It was really good for me at that point in life because I was just coming out of a very dangerous lifestyle, if I might say. And working out took my mind off of that stuff. It kept me out of trouble. It actually just saved my life, if I'm being honest. So we work out and we're just doing our thing. And before you know it, months goes by and about a year goes by. And he asks me, hey, do you want to go to a bodybuilding competition? So I'm like, what's that? Bodybuilding. He's like, bodybuilding competition. They get on stage and they flex and all this stuff. And then I got oil on. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, that's weird. I remember going to the bookstore and seeing the magazines of, the guys all oiled up with the little trunks on and stuff like that. And I used to think it was kind of gay. If I'm being honest, I'm just being real. Like, why are you wearing that? So we, I said, fine, it's workout related. I've adopted this new lifestyle. I have been consistent for a year. Let's just go. So we go to this small town in Alabama that's probably about 30 minutes away from where we live here in Florida. And it was this little bitty convention center that we went to. It didn't look like anything, but we went to it. And we go inside and we sit down and, here comes the MC, trying to, hype everybody up. And then these teenagers come out. Like they started with like the younger ones, like these teenagers come out, and I'm like, gosh, these guys are teenagers, man. They don't look like teenagers to me. They're like grown men, like muscles developed, and they was swole, man. They were like, wow, this was very, very impressive, very impressive. And then the more we sat there and we watched the older men come out, and I was like, these guys, like they got arms, like I want arms. They got like a chest, like I want. And then it was at that moment, I was like, I looked at my friend. I'm like, bro, I think I wanna try to do this. I think I want to do some bodybuilding. So we left and we talked about it all the way back home. So I started to look into bodybuilding at that point. Around this time, YouTube was not very hot. I mean, it was just coming on the scene. Remember, this was like '07. I think YouTube came around '05 or '06 or something. So there wasn't like a lot of YouTubers. There were really no fitness YouTubers or anything like that. There was just, a select few channels on YouTube that would upload bodybuilding videos from the pros and stuff like that, like workouts and motivational stuff that people would put together on their computer and just upload it to YouTube. So I'm looking at it and it's getting me pumped up, getting me amped up and stuff. So me and my friend, we begin to talk and converse, go back and forth with each other. And he's like, yeah, I think you should do it. You have some great genetics. Your structure is amazing. And I think that you would do very well. So when when you got somebody that is in your ear, just gassing you up like he was, it's very, very hard to say no. Because I'm the type of person that if somebody believes in me, I'm going to do the best that I possibly can to, you know, just do my best. I don't like to fail. I don't want to fail at anything. And I finally had felt like I had found something that I could identify with, working out. Because, even though I was a year in, I was seeing some amazing results. My muscles were like just growing and I just felt good. I felt confident. Because remember now, I'm the little fat kid now that was in elementary school getting picked on and then made it to middle and high school really, really skinny. So this body dysmorphia uh, mentality that I wrestled with for most of my life, I was trying to like deal with it and trying to like create this physique that I could be proud of, this physique that other people could look at and be proud of and actually want to emulate. So I turned the heat up in the gym and I began to work out harder than I've ever worked out ever. So mind you, I'm in my early 20s. I got a lot of energy. I'm not tired at all. So, yeah, and I had time because I wasn't working around this time. So, going to the gym twice a day, just really spending time in there, trying to talk to other guys who were involved with bodybuilding and trying to pick their brains and stuff, all alongside my friend helping me out as well. Because he was really deep into bodybuilding before I was. I just wasn't that deep. You can almost say he was the one that really introduced me to the scene of bodybuilding. So 2008 comes around, and prior to 2008, I went to watch a couple of more bodybuilding shows to make sure that was what I wanted to do. And every time I went to a show, I was more and more convinced that this is what I want to do. So 2008 comes around, and I compete in my first bodybuilding show back in my hometown, a little city down in Alabama, and my family's there, and my family's like in shock. They're like, "We didn't think that you were going to be on stage in trunks. Like, we thought you were going to be picking up dumbbells on stage." Because most people are not very educated when it comes to bodybuilding, so they don't really know what it is. They don't know what it's about, and when you explain it to them, they're like, what? You're going to be on stage wearing that?" Like, it's essentially you in a little less than your underwear standing in front of a bunch of strangers. Now, to the world, they look at that like that is weird and uncalled for and not really decent. So, I mean, whatever. So, after that first bodybuilding show, I was hooked. I was very, very hooked and I had a great time. I didn't do very well in that show, but I had a great time. I met some people and the experience was like none other. Like I had never done anything like that in my life. I didn't play a lot of sports when I was younger. I didn't do a lot of extracurriculum activity. I didn't do any of that different type of stuff. So this was like the first thing that I had ever did in my life that I was proud of myself of. So to not continue it was not really an option because I felt like I just had this awakening. Like I found myself. I have found what I am good at, and I'm going to kick butt the next time I get up there. So I'm like just stoked. And I worked out even harder. Everything was like about bodybuilding. I had bodybuilding magazines. All I wanted to talk about was bodybuilding with people, talk about working out. I remember my little brother, like many years ago, he would be like, "Man, all you do is talk about working out. You don't talk about nothing else. Like all you do is talk about working out." Because that was what I had found my identity in. That was what I resonated with, which was working out, training hard, getting as big as possible, like trying to be just this monster, this beast. And again, why? I don't know, because maybe again I found something that I got gratitude out of and that I was proud of myself for, you know. And time goes on. I met a man who ended up being my mentor. He was older than me. He was in his 40s at the time. He took me under his wing. He saw me. He was like, "You have so much potential. You need to compete in this show." So 2011 comes around and he coaches me for that show. That was like one of the hardest things I had ever done in my life, even to the day. To this day, it was a really challenging preparation. It was very old school, outdated methods, and yeah, I just hated it. But I love the way I looked though. I was like really, 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 really lean, really, really shredded, and I was once again very proud of how I looked because I looked even better in that competition than I did the first one because I was under the guidance of somebody who actually knew what they were doing. So um, after that show, um, at this point, it's safe to say that I became very vain, very, very obsessed, and very detached from reality. If it wasn't about working out, if it wasn't about fitness, if it wasn't about my body, I didn't care. I just didn't care. And all I cared about was looking good and other people knowing it. Whether it was, you know, bros in the gym giving me praise or girls, you know, wanting a piece of me. Like I'm just being 100% transparent. Like that was where my mindset was. Now, keep in mind, this is a very, very important point in this video. I was not saved at this time. I was not saved. I knew who God was. My grandparents had me in church, but we never talked about the gospel. We never talked about grace. We never talked about repentance. We didn't talk about holiness. None of that stuff. I didn't grow up with that. I just grew up in church, and that was it. So at this time, I'm basically in the world, just doing what it is I do and utilizing my body to essentially get my way, utilizing my body to seduce, utilizing my body to manipulate. I was just not really a good person. Not at all. I was a very just not just a bad person who used his assets to get his way. 2012 comes around and I come to the Lord, or may I say the Lord found me, January of 2012, and I became born again. And this was right after some of the darkest times in my life. I'm leaving those out because they're not really related to this story about bodybuilding. Maybe in another video, if you're interested in hearing about the dark things in which I got involved with before I came to Christ, comment down below and I will make a note to make a video about that. But anyway, coming to Christ in 2012, it was the greatest, the best decision that I had ever made. I was so on fire for God. My zeal was just amazing. But all while still bodybuilding, still working out. Around this time, I was still trying to justify what I was doing, trying to justify bodybuilding. There are some people who do bodybuilding that say that they do it for the Lord. I'm bodybuilding for the Lord. I am building my physique up for Jesus and representing the kingdom of God. I'm thinking, yeah, that's why I'm doing this. I'm representing the body of Christ. You know, this is the temple of God. You know, the temple of God is chiseled. The temple of God got some crazy vascularity. The temple of God got pecs like Schwarzenegger, you know, that was like my mindset right there, like taking care of my body for Jesus. I had convinced myself that this is what I needed to do for him, right? And that mentality followed me for years. As I was getting closer to the Lord, you know, mind you, I'm in my Bible, I am fully saved, but there was that part of my lifestyle that I just was not ready to let go of. I did have moments where it felt weird. It felt awkward to do that, especially when it was time to compete again. 2013 was the first time I competed in a bodybuilding show after I got saved. And I don't remember feeling weird. I don't remember feeling awkward. I don't remember feeling out of place. I just didn't feel convicted, honestly, at that time. I did it again a year later, 2014, and I took a couple years away, took a couple years off, took a break because my kids, they were getting older. We ended up having our last child in 2015. And then I came back to bodybuilding in 2017. So 2017, that was a year that I just gave so much of myself to bodybuilding that I neglected a lot of things in my personal life. I neglected family. I neglected duties, obligations. It was just all about just getting as shredded as possible and building my body up, holding on to as much muscle because I want to win this show. I want to win this show. I want to win this show. So I do this show in 2000 and what was it? 2017. We did the show and I won. I won first place and I turned professional in that show as well. So after that, I'm thinking, what's next? It's time to go do a pro show, time to win some money. Like, again, my lifestyle was consumed with it. Like, I'm just immersed in bodybuilding. A year later, I was supposed to do a show, and that didn't happen because there were some problems going on in my home. There were some serious issues between me and my wife, and a lot of that was on me, to be honest. Neglecting her, putting a lot on her, and it just really caused a damaging wedge between us at that time period that nearly led to divorce. The reason that I'm pausing is because that's the first time I've ever said that on camera. Because I've just now gotten to the point where I can talk about it. A lot went on that year. A lot went on, and it took all of that to get me to stop and sit down and think. I canceled all of my plans for doing the bodybuilding show in 2018. I stopped, and I just I was seeking the Lord like never before. I seeked him and prayed and prayed and prayed to him about our situation and prayed for over her and me and did everything that I could to restore things. The same with her. And we did that. I tried to do everything I could to get us into church, and because we weren't going to church around this time consistently. And that was a big eye opener for me to where I really looked at myself in the mirror and said, "You are one selfish SOB." I mean, there's really no other way for me to put it, honestly, and that's just me being nice. You're very selfish. You're very vain. Around this time period, I am posting pictures of myself in my posing trunks with my shirt off, with oil on and all different type of stuff, showing off my abs, my muscles, my legs. Like you can see everything except for, the obvious. And I was just getting like these like unsolicited messages on my social media, like my Instagram and my Facebook. It was just This had never happened to me prior to this year because I think it was the year I was just really like posting a lot of pictures that I shouldn't have been posting of my body. And I would get these inappropriate messages from men. I would get these inappropriate messages from women. So both men and women would hit me up. Guys would be like, "Hey, can you bounce your pecs? Can you take your clothes off? Can you do this and that?" There were even some offers for money. Women, ladies, you think it's bad for y'all, like when you get those like D pictures in your DM. Yeah, I was getting some very, very exposing pictures, very compromising pictures, and I didn't ask for it at all. So, being a Christian, um, of course, I did not tolerate that. I blocked, and I probably still have it on my phone. I blocked probably like close to 30 accounts, maybe, because it was just happening so often. And in my mind, I'm like, why is this occurring? But then the spirit is like, well, this is kind of what you're asking for. You're putting yourself out there in front of everybody, you're putting yourself on display. What else are they going to think? Because I, being a bodybuilder, professional bodybuilder at this time, had this mentality like, I can look at a woman's body and not feel any lust, not feel any type of like temptation, and appreciate the muscular development and stuff like that. And same with men. I can look at a man's body and appreciate the way that he looks for his development. Like there's no sexuality when it comes to people who are very, very deep into bodybuilding. But I didn't think about how just regular people looked at me. I didn't think that they looked at me as somebody that was in a sexual manner. I just thought that they admired the way that I looked, but it wasn't that. They really were like trying to like shoot their shot with me. So around that time I decided, I said, hey, I'm not gonna be like posting anymore like pictures like this anymore. So no more pictures of like imposing trunks and stuff. I just don't want that attention. So when I stopped, all of that stopped too. But that was 2018, and then a number of years went by. I don't want to go like year after year after year, but I will just kind of sum it up like my feelings about bodybuilding did not change at all. I still was very obsessed with it, probably up until about 2021 maybe. That was right after the pandemic. Around this time period, my thoughts start kind of shifting to like my health. I'm in very good health, by the way. I'm 39, so I don't take prescription medication. I don't nothing like that. I'm good. I'm healthy, but also the type of person that wants to try to get ahead of the game too. So I'm trying to take care of myself and be more concerned about the internal versus the external parts of me. So I'm focusing on that, looking into a lot of holistic stuff, and not really thinking much about like bodybuilding, because in my mind I was like, I probably won't be competing again because I don't really see the point in it. Getting on the stage, being judged by some strangers who don't know me, who in some sort of way believe they have the right to tell me whether I'm good or not, when in my eyes I am great because I feel like I accomplished my goal. I feel like that's how I should be, but you know, they will place you wherever they feel like you need to be placed, and then you walk away with some fake trophy. So, and some bragging rights. And then it just dawned on me. I'm like, people will talk about you, like they'll celebrate you for a little while and then they'll forget about you a little bit later. So you get your little 5 minutes of fame and you get a little bit of notoriety, but then at some point people just forget about you later. So um, at that time, like I said, I'm focusing on my health and stuff. So number of years goes by again, 2024, which was last year. I had pretty much made up in my mind that I'm probably never going to do a bodybuilding show ever again. And the reason was because I didn't see the purpose. I didn't think it would profit. I'm way too busy. I'm trying to raise a family. I got clients I need to take care of. I'm trying to get deeper into ministry. And I just think it would be a little weird for me to be doing something like that while trying to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ and trying to like get people saved and disciple individuals of all nations. Plus, we had got rooted into a church back in 2021. And I'm like, I really don't want my church members seeing me like this. I don't want to be, I don't want them to like sin because of me. So yeah, that was something else that was on my mind. This past Saturday, I was in the prayer closet. I was interceding for my family, and the Lord put it on my heart about bodybuilding. And it was in that moment that I had made the decision to denounce bodybuilding. What this means is that I will not support anything bodybuilding related. I don't want to have anything to do with the lifestyle anymore. I don't want to watch the commentary or the shows anymore. I just don't want anything to do with it anymore, because bodybuilding, it always takes this very, very toxic, narcissistic, selfish route. There's no way you can be successful as a bodybuilder and not be selfish. You just can't do it. And it takes too much away from your life. Again, I'm a father of 3, I'm married, and it just takes so much away from my family. And I just can't do that. It takes away from what I could be doing for Jesus. It takes away from me serving people. It just takes away, and then it puts this damper on my testimony. Like, you're supposed to be a man of God. Why are you imposing trunks with oil on, flexing your muscles? You're supposed to be a disciple of Jesus Christ. Why do you have your shirt off? I do know some people who are Christians and even like pastors who do it. And the justification for it, in my opinion, is not really valid, because you can bring people to Jesus with your clothes on, with your shirt on, sir, ma'am. Put some clothes on. You can definitely bring people to the Lord, because again, like I said in the beginning of the video, I was thinking like, oh, I'm doing this for Jesus. I'm taking care of the temple. Like, nah, man, you flexing, but it ain't got nothing to do with Jesus. Like, I seriously doubt that women who were looking at my body were thinking about Jesus in that moment. Like, I can't see them saying, "Oh my gosh, look at his abs. I just want to go get baptized. Look at his butt. I just want the Lord in my life." Like, stop. For those of you out there who are bodybuilders and you're trying to like justify it by hiding behind Jesus, you need to stop. Because bodybuilding ain't got nothing to do with Jesus. That is not glorifying God at all. You are glorifying one thing, and that's your body. That's yourself. You are glorifying the flesh. There is no way that people are going to credit the spirit by looking at the flesh. The Bible says that the flesh and the spirit are always at war with one another, and we are to walk in the spirit so that we will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. You're not honoring God by getting on the bodybuilding stage. You're not honoring God by taking steroids and PEDs and all the different types of stuff, growth hormones. You're not honoring him by doing that. In fact, you're tearing down the very temple that he gave you. Like, we're supposed to be good stewards over our bodies. It's not being a good steward by pumping yourself full of stuff and then making your body look distorted by gaining all of this muscle and things of that nature. Now, for me, I don't feel like I'm a humongous guy. Like, there's so many guys that are bigger than me, but the average guy does think that I'm, bigger than the average guy. I'm about 228 pounds. So to some people, that's a lot at 5'11". Some people that's a lot. But for me, I'm not super big. And I can say this, I've never taken any drugs either. So I've always done what I have achieved naturally. Competitive bodybuilding is dangerous. It serves no purpose. It is pointless. And I know some of you out there are probably going to get mad at me for saying that, but I'm sorry. It's true. It really doesn't lead anywhere. I did it since 2008. I lived the lifestyle. I was immersed in it. I supported people who did it. I prepped people who have done it. I've done the shows myself. I've done the research. I've gone through it. The experience is there, and I'm telling you that the end of it, there's nothing there. Nothing fulfilling. Nothing that can really nourish your spirit. It's sowing to the flesh is what it is. And the Bible says that if you sow to the flesh, you will reap death. But if you sow to the spirit, you will reap everlasting life. And I don't know about you, but I'm trying to reap everlasting life. I'm trying to bring people to Jesus. I'm trying to get people saved. And they're not going to get saved by looking at the size of my biceps and my back. I'm just being real, you know. Am I here to tell people to stop competing in bodybuilding? Do what you want. But for me, that was the personal conviction. I told my wife the same thing, and she's like, you know, she was happy about that. She was happy. You know, she has always been supportive of everything that I've done, and she's never like tried to get me to stop. But at the same time, I knew deep down she didn't really like it. So it's probably a relief for her to hear that I'm not doing it anymore. Am I against working out? Absolutely not. No, we definitely should be working out, exercising. As a fitness coach for nearly 15 years, I preach this every single day. Please take care of your body because nobody's going to take care of it for you. I am pro building up the body, building up strength, building up flexibility. I just don't think that we should be glorifying it. I don't think that we should be pushing it to the point of it being distorted. I don't think that our bodies should be worshipped and looked upon. That's just my opinion because it does start to become an idol at some point. But if you are the type of person that just really enjoys working out and you want an athletic look and you just want to feel good and feel healthy, then there's nothing sinful about that whatsoever. Go out there and take care of yourself. Listen, I hope that this video blessed you. Hope that even if you couldn't relate to it, maybe you learned something today about those of us who are fitness fanatics. Somebody on the other side, which is me, telling you how it is and how I don't really have anything to do with the lifestyle anymore. Hopefully it blessed you, and I want everybody out there to take care of themselves at the end of the day. Do me a favor, folks. If you can relate, comment down below. Talk to me. Anything you want to say, any questions that you might have for me, just comment it and I'll try really hard to get to you and answer those questions. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and share this video as well. Subscribe too. Peace.